back to my channel DVD Vibes. My name is Laura and you are watching the first episode of a 3-part Halloween special. For today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how I redecorated my bedroom, or more like the part of my bedroom that's worth showing because the rest is not as cute, with 7 DIYs, really fun DIYs actually. They go from very simple, like for example this paper bats, to a little bit more complex, like for example this woven skull, or how about this really cute pumpkin cushion with a pom-poms garland. Or how about this, my spells book, which actually is my 2015 bullet journal. So shall we see what I have in here? Let's go. So of course I have in October Halloween monthly spread. It was a very sad month. So since I'm so proud with the outcome, I thought it would be really fun if I share it with you guys and show you how I managed to turn my very normal bedroom into something more like what I like to call a Halloween glam with just DIY decor. So if you want to see how I managed to do it, just keep watching. See?
So to begin a project, we're gonna start of course with the easiest ones, which are the paper bats, and we're gonna need some black paper of course, and also some recycled paper, a thicker paper, so we can make our stencils. I'm going to be using watercolor paper that I'm not using anymore, and I cut it in 3 sizes. You can make as many sizes as you want to. I go for a big one, a middle size, and a small size. I already have my small bat ready. I'm going to show you the middle size one. So fold the paper in half, and we're going to start making simple half circles, so to say. So do a bigger one, and then go do another half circle going outwards, and then do 3 connected half circles going in at the diagonal direction, like I don't know. And then I've also added like a tiny claw there, the head and the ears of course. Now I'm just going to cut it out, and once I'm done, I'm gonna have my middle size bat. There you go. So now I have 2, the small bat and the middle size bat, and now I have the big bat. Now we're gonna transfer these into our black paper, and I'm gonna be using just regular white color pencil, and do as many as you want to. You can do also as many sizes as you want to. I suggest you to make a lot of small ones, and then a little bit less of the middle ones, and then a little bit less of the bigger ones, and you're gonna end up with something like this. So moving to the next DIY, I have lace bases, and I don't know what it is about laces that makes everything look so romantic and gothic, especially if it's black. So here I have an old vase blouse, and I'm gonna be using the sleeves because it's a lot easier if I just cut it out and insert my vase in there like I'm doing right here. And then I just have to like secure the top, so I'm taking this thick black cord and leaving a little bit at the top so that it creates this kind of cute ruffle. And again, I'm just making like a double knot to make sure that my lace doesn't fall off. And of course, I also have to secure the bottom. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this scrap felt, and I'm going to outline the bottom of the vase so that I have the shape that I need, and I'm gonna cut it out. And I'm gonna be gluing this with some fabric glue. I have this what is called flexible stretchable fabric glue, and I don't know if I did it correctly. I think you actually have to put it in both fabrics so that it sticks easier, but I only added it to the felt. So here I'm just trying very hard to make sure that the lace doesn't come off, but it just kept coming off. So with a little bit of patience and a lot of pressure, in the end it did glue, or sticked, or glued. How do you say it? Yeah. So I'm keeping it nice and tight, and in the end it eventually stayed together. And this is the final look. I really like how it looks. I don't know, like I said about lace, that especially if it's black, it looks so nice and gothic, and next to white things, ooh, just ooh. But also, if you have other vases lying around, you can also gather some branches like I'm doing right here, and I'm gonna be painting them in white, and I'm also gonna be painting them in black. And that's because I have this birdcage in my bedroom, but I'm not gonna paint my birdcage. I'm just gonna add this vase with lace and some branches, and it's gonna look so nice. And talking about black branches, I'm gonna be needing those for my next DIY, which are black roses. And here I have some black crepe paper, and I know you can buy this in rolls already, like smaller rolls, but I couldn't find any, so I have this longer version. I have my black branch right there, some isolation tape, of course black tape, and my glue gun. And I need, of course, scissors to cut my paper because I don't have those rolls. So at first I thought I was just going to unroll the paper and cut in a straight line like I'm doing right here. But the truth is I gave up halfway through, so I was like, no, I'm gonna cut through the whole thing. And I did. And the scissors made it. So yay. And here I have my branch, and I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue at the tip, making sure that I don't burn myself. And now you're gonna have to start rolling the paper. Just the bottom of the paper, and roll it careful, not burn yourself. And at first you're gonna start rolling it tight, and as you go by you start like rolling and loosening the grip at the top while gathering the paper at the bottom, and that's what's going to create the petals, so to say. So the more you loosen the grip at the top, the more open the flower is going to be. But make sure that you keep the grip at the bottom and keep gathering so that your rose doesn't fall apart. I think in this one you can see better what I'm doing, so I'm gathering at the bottom like so, and at the top it looks quite loose, and that is what creates this rose or flower shape. I also pushed a little bit at the top with my hands. I will do that so that they like the petals start like wrinkling a little bit. And once I am done rolling the paper, you're gonna take the isolation tape and stick everything together, making sure it's nice and tight. Once you are done, you're gonna end up with something like this. So on with the next DIY, which is watercolor art. And of course you can always print the art if you don't want to paint it yourself. I don't have a printer, so I'm gonna paint it myself. And here I have some watercolors, and look at this super fancy and expensive watercolor case. And then I have some masking tape, and what is it called? This mixing plate, and also a paper towel, my watercolor paper. And here I have like a smaller version of what I wanted to paint, just to make sure that I know what colors I want to use and the technique I'm gonna use. So I painted this first. So we're gonna start off by securing our paper, and also like taping the borders, so to make sure that I have straight edges for my paint. And once I'm done with that, I'm gonna start drawing the castle. Of course, I also draw the moon. I use the masking tape shape to make my moon. And basically for the castle, you're just gonna draw a lot of pointy roofs and diagonal lines and a bunch of windows for the light to come through. And you have to worry to be super precise, because in the end it's just going to be painted in black anyways. And also you can find a lot of references in Pinterest, just as I did. And here I'm almost done with my drawing. So now that I'm done, I'm gonna add this, what is it called? Is it like a masking glue or something like that? So that my moon doesn't get stained with the colors of the sky, which are very dark. And I'm gonna use the wet on wet technique. That's basically just wetting the what's going to be the sky in full, and then adding the color. And I'm gonna start with a dark blue. This is like a cobalt blue. So the way I do it is I want to create like this gradient color. So what I do is I add every time a little bit more of water to my brush and a little bit less paint, so that it starts like lightening it at the bottom. And the next step is going to be like adding my purples because I want my sky to look mostly purple. And I use like dabbing motions more than on like brushing it because I want to create some clouds. That's why I first like dab a little bit on the paper and then just remove a little bit of the color with the paper towel. And I'm also adding like a magenta color underneath. So as I said, I want to create like this gradient effect. And here I'm creating more clouds and just add more color as you go or as much as you feel like it's going to look better. I also darken the sky a little bit more. And after I'm done with the color, I'm going to remove this masking thingy. And now I found out that the best way to do it is actually with an eraser. I used to do it with my nails and it always ended up, I always ended up like ripping the paper. But now I know that you can use an eraser and the eraser comes off like super clean. Just a tip right there. And since I erased a little bit of my roof, I'm going to draw that again. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to start painting my moon. Again, I'm going for a wet on wet technique. Remember, just let the background dry fully. I forgot to mention that. So I'm also using a grading technique. So I want to create like this round grading. So you start at one side and do these like round motions and add more water as you go and add other colors. I also added a little bit of orange and I felt like I needed like to be a little bit darker at the bottom of the moon. But I also like started removing a little bit of the color and adding water and adding like light spots, so to say. So once I'm done with my moon and I let it dry, I can start painting my castle. Everything that's in the foreground, I'm gonna paint it in black. So this is just like self-explanatory. Just paint everything in black and leave your windows untouched and also the door. And for the windows and the door, I'm gonna use this like vinyl in a fluorescent yellow. Then I'm done with it and I'm just going to make the tiny details, which are the bats. And at first I used like paint to do the bats, to paint the bats, but the paper like soaked all the colors, so in the end I ended up changing for a pen. And then you are done. So up next we have the skulls, and you're going to need a board and paint it in black. I already painted my board in black. You're also going to need a drawing of a skull. You can also print it, and a bunch of nails. I don't have white nails, so I had to improvise. So yeah, I ended up painting my own nails, and a hammer and masking tape to secure your print or drawing, and some white yarn or something like that. The first thing you're gonna do is tape your print or drawing to the board so that it doesn't move around, because we need to hammer, and we need to hammer a lot. So once it's nice and secure, we're gonna start adding our nails. So just find like reference points and do all around the skull and the eyes, the nose and the mouth, and you're gonna end up with something like this. Doesn't it look amazing, like with the shadows and everything? It's already looking really cool. So now I'm going to remove the tape and remove the paper so I can start adding the yarn. I just made a knot in one of the nails around the face, and you're gonna go first all around the face to make like the outline of the skull. And also once I'm done with the outline of the whole head, so to say, you're gonna go in and start outlining, like, I don't know why, but I did the lips first, or the mouth first. And once I'm done with the mouth is when I'm going to start like weaving all over the skull to fill it in as if it was color. And you're gonna end up with something like this. So this next one is kind of like a two-in-one, and I'm going to be starting with any glass bottle you have around. I have this whiskey bottle, and I'm gonna spread a lot of glue or Mod Podge. I have a combination of wood glue with water, and I'm gonna add my paper towel. And you have to also soak the paper on top, because it does suck a lot of moisture, and you just have to push like your brush to create those wrinkles to make it like look more realistic and old. And I'm also gonna be using a hardcover journal. You can use any book, but it has to have a hardcover. And again, I'm just spreading the glue or the Mod Podge, and adding the paper towel and spreading more glue on top, because it's gonna take all the moisture. And once it's dry, it's gonna take a few hours or more than a few hours. You can start making your design with a hot glue gun. In my case, I'm gonna be doing this spider web, and I was amazed by how easy it actually is to kind of like draw with hot glue gun. And I'm also gonna be adding a title, so I called mine Spells. I was amazed by how forgiving these spooky designs actually are. So I'm gonna let that dry, and while that one is drying, I'm gonna make my design for my bottle, and I'm gonna be doing these poison warnings, the typical skull with the crossed bones. And I didn't film that part, but I also added the label as, of course, poison. And once everything is dry, I'm gonna start painting my book, and I just mixed like browns and blacks, and I also have to add a little bit of water because it wouldn't spread as easily. And once I'm done with that, I can start adding the details. In my case, I used gold paint to paint like the spider web and also the title, and I also added a few spots here and there around the cover. And I'm also going to be painting my bottle with a few gold details as well. And since these whiskey bottles I couldn't remove the top thingy, I just had to cut the cork and glued it on top, and added some dripping details as if it was like the poison was dripping out. So once that is dried, I'm gonna paint that in green to give that poison feel to it. And this is what it looks like. I also made this other wine bottle as well, and that one I could finally use it as a candle holder. And I made this like open eye design. So last but not least, we have this pumpkin cushion. And for that, I'm first going to start measuring the cushion I want to cover, and that's just pretty much self-explanatory. And everyone has different cushion sizes, so I'm not gonna really talk too much about it. And I'm gonna be using this thick black fabric and orange felt, and also a little bit of green felt. You can use any fabric you want. I don't know what type of fabric that is, but it's a little bit thick. And also this pumpkin garland. Then you have to draw your design, or you can print it. And I'm just taking the reference from Pinterest, and it's very easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it's actually a pumpkin, or it's called like a jacko, I don't know. So once I'm done drawing, I'm just writing down what I have to cut out, and I'm gonna do just that. And after everything is cut, I'm gonna start transferring my design to my felt. Now we gotta cut everything again. So I'm gonna be using this fabric glue. I already glued the stem, and this is just going to make it so much easier afterwards to sew everything on top, because now we have to sew like the border and the dents, and I'm going to be using zigzag stitch for that. As for the eyes, mouth, and nose, I'm going to be using a regular straight stitch. I already also cut the back for my cushion, and I'm going to be using the, what is it called? Overlapping. I'm just going to use 2 overlapping fabrics so that I don't have to worry about any type of closure or buttons or anything like that. So I'm here just showing you that you have to sew everything like right sides facing each other, and that includes also the garland. So before pinning everything down, you have to make sure that the garland is also, like the pom-poms are on the inside, so that when you pull your cushion out or the cover out, the garlands are on the outside. And here I'm just showing you that I already hemmed the borders of my overlapping, the overlapping fabric. So here I'm just showing you again how you have to place the garland, because basically everything has to be facing each other. Front of the cushion is facing up. Of course, the back panels are going to, like the right side is going to be facing the pumpkin, and the garland has to be facing, so to say, or the pom-poms of the garland has to be facing the pumpkin as well. The reason why I'm not showing it more is because I forgot to film. I was so tired. But in the end, if you know how to sew, you just have to follow the guidelines, and you're gonna end up with something just as awesome as this.
So that's all I had for you today. I am very sorry if some of the videos felt a little bit rushed. I usually start recording very late at night, so I end up tired and not paying too much attention to what I'm doing. But still, I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Comment in the section below. I would love to talk to you guys. Share, subscribe to my channel, because next week is gonna be super cool. It's the second part of my Halloween special, and you can miss that, so you better hit that bell button, ding ding, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, good night, bye y'all. Oh, cut! 1, 2, 3, go! My baby girl, but I don't know how.